am so thrilled for today's episode because today we're going to talk about taking action and starting before you're ready. I love our guest today. Carmen is such a valuable resource, and she's really going to provide some insights to help each of us get to that next level and work through the resistance that we feel in each level, because we think that as we're growing as entrepreneurs, that things just get easier. And to an extent they do, but then we start going for bigger things. So it's not like the resistance really ever leaves. We just really have to learn how to navigate around it and work with it.
Welcome to the Entrepreneur Coach podcast. I'm the Entrepreneur Coach, Bree Seeley. My mission is to help female entrepreneurs like you have the audacity to believe in the inevitability of your success, then to gather the resources, tools, and knowledge you need to create your most aligned and profitable pathway to your vision of success. This podcast is all about providing you with a nitty-gritty behind-the-scenes look at what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur. Forget the success porn and the rags to riches stories. Each episode will pull back the curtain and share the reality of entrepreneurship. I cannot wait to be part of your journey.
Carmen Ohling is a holistic life and leadership coach, keynote speaker, former corporate executive, and founder of the Amplified Life Company. Carmen has traveled the world to highlight critical issues around well-being today to create a better understanding about harnessing the authentic power that is inside each of us so that we can design the life we truly desire. She has served as an expert on many media outlets such as Fox News, Living Local, and a variety of health and business-centric podcasts. Carmen's work is dedicated to guiding leaders to their next levels of success and freedom. Please help me welcome Carmen to the podcast. Hello.
Hi there. I love that. To our next level success and freedom. I forget that that's in there, and that always feels so good.
Isn't it fun to re-listen to our bios sometimes? It just reminds us, oh, I do that thing, or oh, I have such a great mission.
I think it's wonderful. My word for the year this year is significant, and really stepping into our significance, because so often we downplay our significance. I think that goes into what we're talking about today is we're all an expert in something, and our best resume is our life experience. This morning on my God walk, a walk that I do every morning, the message was really dripping in significance. And I was like, that is juicy. Everybody, let's drip together.
I love that. Talk to me about what that means to you. How are you going to practice that, or what does that look like in a daily perspective?
It's really owning and having the courage to have something to say that is going to impact the world in some way. That's really doing the things in my business that are going to get me to the next level, which is impacting the lives of over 1 million leaders and entrepreneurs in a significant way so they can have more freedom in their lives. It looks like being super self-aware each day of how I'm operating, how I'm thinking, so that I can really be working in a flow state and doing deep work versus busy work. It looks like showing up as my highest and best and knowing that even if something unexpected happens or a challenge happens, it's all because it's building my character. It's like what's here for me versus getting stuck in this crappy thing is happening to me. It means that I walk into a room and I'm charismatic, not in a way that's boastful, like look at me, but in a way that I want to attract people to me because I want to light something that's within them so that they can own their own significance as well. So it's really twofold to answer your question. It's not only my daily disciplines and systems and rituals that I have that bring freedom and allow me to step into my significance, but also how I'm showing up as a person, even just walking down the street.
You said my least favorite four-letter word in your description there. I actually have an episode planned coming up about this as well. It's busy. One of the things I know is that there are a lot of entrepreneurs out there who are very busy, who are not necessarily creating the kind of significance that they want to be creating in their businesses. I'm curious to know your thoughts on this. I think that some of the reason that we're so addicted to the busy work in our business that does not create the significant results is because there's unresolved resistance within us. How do you feel about that?
I always think things happen for a reason. We have this saying in my community, instead of saying, I can't believe that happened, we say, of course that happened. Thank you. More, please. I'm in a conference room as we're talking, and there happens to be a library of a give and take and share book. The Art of War by Stephen Pressfield was there. For whatever reason, I opened to this page and it says, resistance is fueled by fear. And so I'm just going to read this because it almost answers your question. It was just really divinely guided to this. So it says, resistance has no strength of its own. Every ounce of juice it possesses comes from us. We feed it, powered by our fear of it. Master the fear, and we conquer resistance. The thing that I like to think about with resistance is each new level of personal or professional growth you get to, you're always going to be met with resistance. It's part of being human. Because what we want to do as humans is we want to cater to our comfort. Going back to your specific question is, how do we get out of the busy work? Well, we're doing the busy work because it's checking something off the list. We're getting that dopamine hit. We're catering to the comfort of doing something versus pushing into the resistance of doing the challenging thing that's going to take us to the next level. Because maybe somewhere within us, even though logically we're not thinking, I can't do it or I don't want to do it, there's still something in there that we need to be able to move through in order to do the big, scary thing, achieve the big, scary, audacious goals.
What I think is so interesting is that when we do get through that resistance and when we do embrace the more audacious actions, we actually create better results as well. And we do it with less effort and fewer actions. You and I had previously chatted about a time in 2016 when you were really afraid to take a big, scary step. But recently, you were faced with a very similar step and you totally took action on it. Talk to us about what the situation is and then what shifted between 2016 and 2023.
I knew that I always wanted to bring people together. I know that there's power in community and in-person connection, being with people, the energy. Back in 2016, I started planning my first day event for women. I had this big vision. I had a place picked out, and I went and I met with the owner. It was this loft. It had exposed brick. It was going to be so beautiful. And it met some of my other requirements too, because my budget was small and I didn't have to use their catering like you would at some other places. She sent me the contract, and it was $1,500 for the event space. Plus, I would have the other costs, and fear really took over. That scarcity mindset of, am I going to be able to sell the tickets for this? Am I going to be able to do this? Instead of going for the big goal, I went for a smaller goal. I still held an event, but I reached out to a local yoga studio. Instead of a day event, we had a 2-hour event in the evening. So I still held this event. However, looking back on it now, fast forward to last year, 2023, we actually bought out a whole boutique hotel in Laguna Beach and held a VIP women's retreat there. I don't say that to say, look at me, but I say that to say there's steps along the way that we have to take. And sometimes that smaller step that we're taking is the thing that we need to build the confidence to know that we can do it. It's not about putting the reps in. It's about putting the reps in the right places. Then fast forward to this year, we've been doing women's retreats since 2020 because we could get about 10 people together at a time. This year, we're actually hosting our first world conference in Bend. So we're getting together 300 leaders and entrepreneurs in a room versus just 10. Each new level requires a new level of feeling the resistance. And I've definitely felt the resistance for this conference as well. But you just keep going. I like to say, start before you're ready. Take that step and know that life, God, whatever you believe in will be there to support you, along with asking for help from others.
I think that for so many people, they would have been faced with that moment of, oh my word, this is too much. I can't take action on this. Clearly, the event's not happening, or I can't do this. One of the most important elements of being an entrepreneur is resiliency and the ability to bend and twist and reshape and move with the information that we have. Because we can set out with all of the best intentions. And once we take that first step, we're going to get information that's going to change and cause us to take a different step than maybe we had planned.
Pardon the interruption as we take a brief break before bringing you back to our episode. Are you an entrepreneur who feels like you're running a marathon on a hamster wheel each day, but you'd really rather be swimming with the pigs in the Bahamas or having breakfast with the giraffes in Africa? You're getting okay results in your business, but you're ready for exceptional results. It's time to hit the reset button to give your business a makeover and evolve into your next level of entrepreneurship. I want to invite you into the Reset, a 5-day business makeover to evolve your business from acceptable to exceptional. Visit breesealy.com/reset to get free access to this resource that will forever change the trajectory of your business.
How do you think you cultivated or are able to use this ability to pivot or shift or readjust? Obviously, it worked in 2016. I'm guessing you still use it now. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that resiliency is something that we definitely should be teaching our kids and teaching them at a young age. There's this idea that we want more or better for our children than we had. And I agree with that, but that doesn't mean just giving them everything. That's something that I like to talk about. Growing up, I was forced to be resilient. Growing up, I was forced to be independent. Growing up, I was forced to figure out things on my own for a variety of different reasons. I've always had that resiliency. Now, it doesn't mean that it's always been easy or I've felt good about it or I haven't had periods of inaction. But the thing that I always come back to is that I know that I can do it. There's just this thing that's within me and it needs to come out. However, going back to what I said was I did shrink back. Back in 2016, I very well could have done that $1,500 investment and sold those tickets. But my energetic capacity and in my subconscious, I wasn't to a point where even if I had that, I wouldn't be able to hold it. I wouldn't be able to keep it. Shrinking back a little bit and being able to partner with the yoga studio allowed me to expand that energetic capacity on the inside so that as I grew my business and grew my company, then I can actually hold it. Because sometimes we might do too much, too fast, or too soon, or too often, which is kind of the definition of trauma. If anything happens with one of those things, then we have this huge business success, but we can't sustain it because we haven't done the work to sustain it yet. So my resilience comes from growing up and having to be put in a situation where I had to take care of things and be really, really independent on my own. Now, on the flip side of that, I wanted to control everything. I also wanted to be in charge all the time, and I wanted certainty. That was not that great because then I had to work through letting go of control and being okay when things were uncertain because, as you know, things are uncertain often, especially when you're getting to the next level.
Totally. Even in the moments, though, that we contract a little bit, what that event, from my perspective, did was showed you that you could take that first step. Even though you contracted a little bit, you had the courage to take that first step, which means that in 2023, you're able to buy out a whole hotel for the women's retreat. What I'd love the audience to take away is that even in the moments when we're feeling resistance, it's not always about barreling through and forcing ourselves into the biggest iteration of our vision, but rather finding a middle ground that lets us show ourselves, hey, I can do this. Next time I do it, I'm going to do it a little bit bigger because I did it the first time. It's really cool to witness that story and that experience and see how over the course of 8 years, it really truly has shaped and expanded your vision and your impact in the world.
I love that recap that you did because I know that people listening can take this and apply it to any goal or dream that they have. It doesn't necessarily have to be a business venture. What's that next step that I could take to get a little bit closer? We all have big dreams and we all have big visions, but the thing that stops us the most is thinking about that big dream and big vision and how are we going to get there? What you said was really reverse engineering it. Okay, this is the first step that I need to take. And for me, it was partnering with the yoga studio to be able to get to where I'm at today. That's part of the process. We should all be doing that because often we're looking at other people and we're comparing to some ideal that is ridiculous. They've probably been in business for 20 years. They didn't just pop up and have a 3,000 person conference and sell it out. It doesn't happen like that.
Well, and also we don't know what's going on behind the scenes with anyone. Everyone came to my conference in September and was like, that was amazing. And I was like, my body wasn't processing food for 6 weeks leading up to the conference. So looked great on the outside, did not necessarily feel great on the inside. That was a lesson I needed to learn, and I've learned it. And we're doing the conference for November. Very different. We hold ourselves to standards that are made up in our head because we don't know what anyone else is actually going through, or the team they have around them, or the joint ventures they have on their side, or insert all manner of circumstances here that we just don't know are happening in their life and business that is contributing to where they're at. When you are feeling resistance, or when you are noticing that you have resistance, how do you find that that usually shows up in your life as you're going to aim for the next big thing? How do you recognize that resistance that's happening? And then how do you process and move through it?
Resistance most often will show up in a couple different ways for me. The first way is worrying or overthinking. That will show up often. And how I process through that is I do what I like to think of as a pattern interrupt. I need to do something to get myself energetically into a different state. Let's say I'm working and I'm doing the busy work, not actually the needle moving work that's going to make a difference. And I find myself worrying or overthinking. Well, old Carmen would push through, work more, but we wouldn't really get anywhere. My pattern interrupt would be, okay, I need to take a break. I need to go outside. I need to speak this out loud to someone else that I'm worrying or overthinking, depending on what the situation is, because I need to get it out so that I can ask the question of what's here for me. What would my highest and best self do? What is the next right step? And can I commit to doing that for just 5 minutes? And if you can commit to doing that for just 5 minutes, after you process through, you don't just want to push it down, because if you just keep pushing it down, it's going to come back even bigger and bolder, and probably when it's your period or something.
I got to process one of those big, bold resistance things yesterday. Man, she was huge and very angry and very loud. Finally, after years of suppressing her, had to let her speak her truth and then move through it afterwards. If you keep denying it, it just gets bigger.
100%. Worrying and overthinking is my go-to. The second thing is it actually affects my digestive system. It's interesting that you talked about this. So I can feel constriction in my body. My skin feels tight, like maybe there's some water retention, and I can be bloated. If I haven't eaten anything weird, if I haven't done anything to do that, my body's telling me, hey, something's going on. So in those cases, when there's a physical symptom, then what I like to do is, okay, what does my body need? It might be a walk. I might need to sweat. I might need to do yoga. Laying down for 20 minutes and doing nothing. Some people might take a nap. I'm not that much of a napper, but laying down and relaxing for 20 minutes. I live in Miami Beach, so sometimes I'll go out to the pool, relax in the sun for 20 minutes, and I feel revived again, because it's not that constricting, pushing energy where you're just go, 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 go. It's getting your physical, mental, spiritual back in alignment, and then saying, what is my next right step as my highest and best?
That care for our nervous systems is so underestimated. How did we not get taught this stuff at a younger age? Because I'm just learning about this stuff now at 40, specific information around my nervous system. If our nervous system is constantly in fight or flight, or we're in that busy, productive, go, 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 go energy, it literally keeps us from building the big, audacious, unrealistic goals and visions that we have. We can't get to there from here. Yet most of us are in that fight or flight with our nervous system constantly. I love that you're aware enough to recognize in those moments, I just need a nap or to lay down. I like naps. Or I will step outside my shed and put my bare feet on the ground. Or yesterday when I was having a day, our husky doesn't like to cuddle, but I like to force him to cuddle me. I literally just got on top of him and put my head on him and was, you're just going to cuddle me for a minute because I just need a hug. I don't care what you think right now. The little things that we can do to re-regulate our nervous systems. When we're operating from a calm place, we make better decisions. We take better actions. We're more likely to address our resistance so that we can create the visions that we have within us.
I agree. And if people are saying right now, but I'm in an office, or I can't go to the pool, or I don't have my bed, or whatever, something that's really easy to do is just to shake. So to stand up and just shake. If you think it's weird, just try it. I love to turn on the song from Florence and the Machine, Shake It Out, and then shake to the song. Move your extremities and move the energy, because probably what's happened, resistance will come up most often when your energy has been stagnant. So it's not like when you just got super aligned in the morning and you did a walk and all your rituals and you had your green juice and you're feeling really good, you're usually going to be good. But maybe in the afternoon, your energy has been stagnant. Shaking is something that people could do maybe 2 minutes, maybe 1 minute, and some deep breaths can really change your energetic state so that you can come back into alignment.
So good. I could totally keep going. We have so much more to talk about. But alas, maybe we'll have to have you back on the podcast. Tell us where everyone can find you, where they can connect with you, how they can learn more from you.
I hang out most often on Instagram at Carmen Ohling and LinkedIn at Carmen Ohling as well. You can find me on all the platforms. My website is carmenohling.com. If you want to connect with me further around events, you can always text me at 503-386-2981. Text me the word amplify and I'll send you some info on upcoming events. I'd love to hear your takeaway too from this episode. Make sure to tag us both on Instagram. Even though it's 25 minutes and it did go by so fast, I could talk to you forever. There's some really juicy takeaways here.
I'm really excited for people to redefine a new relationship with their resistance. How can we see resistance for what it is? It's not something telling us that we need to stop. It's maybe something telling us we need to readjust, or maybe it's something telling us that we need to divert our attention and look at something that's happening. I love this idea of redefining how we address resistance and how we move through it, because I do think that there are way too many of us holding ourselves back when we could actually be out there doing all the big things, like creating all the big movements that we're here to create.
If people can think, okay, I feel resistance and I listen to this podcast, it's a good thing because I'm going to my next level. What do I need in this moment so that I can keep going in a way that's aligned and feels good for me?
Love it. Well, thank you so much for being a guest. Listeners, make sure that you do all of the things that Carmen just said: Instagram, LinkedIn. Post your biggest takeaway, tag us both. We are so happy that you got to listen to this episode. And Carmen, thank you so much for your time and energy today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Entrepreneur Coach podcast. I hope you gained valuable wisdom from this episode and have at least one thing you can act on today. As I always say, listening to this episode will not change your life. What you do afterwards will. Please be sure to leave a rating and a review of the show, and don't forget to share this episode with a friend or colleague who could use it. Last but not least, please have the audacity to believe in the inevitability of your success today. You deserve it.